Yeah, welcome. So, today we are going to talk about this particular subject, which is your discrete mathematical structures. Now, when we talk about discrete mathematics, so this is nothing but the study of the mathematical structures which are fundamentally discrete in nature. Instead of being continuous, these are discrete in nature. Just like we have your real numbers which are pretty much smooth, here what we see is that all the objects which we will be studying in this particular discrete mathematics will be your mainly integers or graphs or logical statements. Now these things are the objects where the continuous smooth proceedings are not observed. So more formally, your discrete mathematics is a branch of mathematics which basically deals with your countable sets or you can say finite sets. To start with, what we have is something called as sets, and there is a concept called as theory of sets. It's also called as set theory. In some of the literatures you will find it is called as set theory. So this was originally given by one of the German mathematician named G. Cantor somewhere in the year 1895. So this mathematician defined a set as a collection of distinguishable objects, and these objects can be selected by means of some rules or some descriptions. So basically your set is a well-defined collection of objects, and these objects are nothing but the elements of a set. These terms will be much more clearer when we will see some examples. But when we say the well-defined collection of objects, so well-defined means that there exists a rule which will help us in deciding whether a given object belongs to a particular collection or not. Right. So these elements are also called as members of the set. And these elements may be anything. For example, let's say I have a universal set. I'll talk about the technicalities of the universal set in the coming slides. But sake of the understanding, let's say we have a collection of objects which are students. And these students are from various branches. It is CSE, it is CCE, it is ECE or MME. So I have like some people are belonging to this particular group which is CSE, some people are belonging to this particular group which is CCE, some to ECE and to MME. So what you people are, you are the elements or the members of these particular sets. So your set can be anything, right? I can have a set of books. I can have another set of, let's say, natural numbers. Which is n, and I can have another set of, let's say, set of CSE students, right? So for me it's like you people are the objects or the elements or the members. Now, in order to denote an element X as a member of set A, what we do is, let me repeat it. So, in order to denote an element, let's say I have an element X as a member of any set A, what we do is we write this small x belongs to set A, right? That means X belongs to A. I can also call it as X is in A, set A. And let's assume that I have a case where this X is not an element of A, then what we do is we write A does not exist in A. Sorry, I took X, small x, right? So this small x does not belong to this. This can also be written as X does not belong to set A, and this one is pretty common, right? What we say is that X is not in A, or X does not belong to A. That's how we write about, or we try to express an element which is present in our set. So this was all about a particular set A, and I have one of the element which is small x in this particular set A. Now, there is something called as equal sets, right? So, two sets are equal if both the sets contain same elements. Right, so two sets are called to be equal when both the sets contain the same elements. And it can be written as, if suppose I have like two sets A and B, so what we write is A equals to B. And to be very precise, the sets A and B are equal if every element X of this particular set A is also an element of B, and every element Y of B is an element of A. In that case, we write it as A equals to B. And this thing is also called as your principle of extension. So basically, your set theory is something which is forming the basis of several other fields of study, like your counting theory. From the discussions what we did, you might have got some basic idea that it is preparing a base for counting theory. It is preparing a base for relations. It is also preparing a base for your graph theory. It is also preparing a base for finite state machines. Right, what basically finite state machines are, we'll see by the time we'll reach to the end of this course. Then we have a separate course which is also called as your finite automaton, right? So there you will see all those finite state machines and all. Now this was all about equal sets. Now let's talk about representation of a set. So we have like two options. One is your roster or tabular form. Another one is the set builder or rule method. So basically we are trying to describe a set by listing all its elements in case of roster form, and another way of describing the set is by describing the properties. Properties of what? Properties of the elements of the set. And that particular thing is nothing but your set builder or your rule method. So we have two options: either list all the elements which are present, or else go by describing the properties of the elements of the set. So let's look at all these options one by one. In this case, as we previously studied, that we are going to list all its elements. So I can have several examples. Let's say I have a set A and it has 5 elements, 1 2 3 4 5. So what I'll do is I'll simply write as 1 2 3 4 5 6 and so on and so forth. I can also write, if suppose I have this never ending list, so 1 2, although since we are talking about sets, it will have some finite elements only, right? So in that case I'm writing up like this. I can have, let's say, n numbers. So one thing to note is the order in which the elements are listed in a set is not important. That means the above same set A can be written as 3, then 2, then 4, then 1, then 6, then 5, then also it's equal, right? Both these two things are equal, right? And that's why we have A here and we have A here. So if suppose I have a set, let's say A, B, C, comma D, so I can also have B, C, D, comma A, or I can also have D, C, B, comma A, right? All these things are equal. Now next is we have set builder or rule method. So in this what we do is we specify a property that elements of the sets have in common. Means the element of the sets have something in common, and that particular thing will be exploited to come up with a set builder or the rule method. So if suppose I am writing B is equals to X, where X is an even integer and X is greater than 0. Now this particular thing means that, let me write it so it would be much more clearer. B is the set of X. That means some values, and those things are represented with the help of a variable X, such that X is an even integer. And I have also given one condition, which is that X is greater than 0. In that case, what it means is that X will always be a positive even integer. Now the same thing can also be written as B is equals to X, where X is an even integer. And my X is greater than 0. Right, so both these things are same, this particular thing and this particular thing. and both the formats are correct. So let's take some examples so that things will be much more clearer. So I have a set, let's say A, which is equals to X, where X is a real number such that X lies between 1 and 8. So what it tells is that this particular set capital A contains the real numbers that strictly lie between 1 and 8. So let's take some more examples, right? Let me have a set A which is in a form of, let's say, -2, -4, -6, -8, and so on and so forth. Now this thing can be converted into a set builder notation, and the answer to this particular thing will be A equals to X or small a or anything which you want, such that X equals to -2n for small n existing in the capital N, right? So we are talking about positive integers. Let's take another example. So what we have is, we have A, which is, let's say, I have some value 0, 1, 2, up to, let's say, 1000. Now the set builder notation or the rule method for this particular thing can be A is equals to X such that this X lies between 0 to 1000, and we see both the things are inclusive, and X belongs to set of all integers. Let's take another example. Now this time let me take A as 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, let's take 10, 12, 14, 15, and so on and so forth. Now what we see is, I have 2, I have 3, then 4, which is 2 to the 4, 3 to the 6. So how to form this relationship? I think I have already given you the clue. So this time my A will be equal to X such that X equals to 2n, or X equals to 3n for n which belongs to the capital N. Now This was all about the examples. Now let's talk about some important sets which are represented by some special symbols. So if I have, let's say, a set which is capital N, now it means that I have the values in the form of like 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on and so forth. If I have a set Z, this means I have values of this kind. That means set of all integers. Now if I am writing that I have a set as Z plus, this is nothing but set of positive integers. That means it will be equivalent to n. I guess you might have made this particular point by this time now. If I am writing a set R, that means it is a set of real numbers. If I am writing that I have something called as Q, now this is a set of rational numbers. And if I am writing this capital C, so this means I have a set of complex numbers. So these are some important sets. As I said, these are some examples, not limited to these only we have. Now next is something which is called as disjoint sets. So two sets are said to be disjoint sets if their intersection is an empty set, right? That means, let's say I have two sets A and B. So if I am taking A intersection B, that is resulting to be an empty set. This can be represented with the help of a Venn diagram as something like this. We'll separately talk about Venn diagrams in our separate discussion, but just for your sake of understanding, I am drawing this particular diagram. So what we have is, we have set A here, I have a set B here, within the universal set here. In a simpler term, we can say no common element exists among the set A and B. For example, let's say I have A as 2, 3, B as 5, 7. So no common elements, intersection will be an empty set. Now let's talk about cardinal number in a set. So this is something which is the size of a set, or you can also call it as the number of elements present in a set. It is denoted by your number of elements in a set, n of a. It is also denoted as mod of a. That is also giving you the same idea that this is something which is the cardinal number. For example, if I have a set A as, let's say, 2, 3, 4, so mod A will be equals to 3, or n of A will be equals to 3. So this was all about some basic discussion related to your set theory and sets and some basic terminologies. We'll take this discussion further in our next video. See you soon.